Welcome back to the channel, it's Nikos, and this is the definitive Halo iceberg chart. I found this chart on icebergcharts.com and added several entries of my own to produce a chart that covers over 250 details about Halo, and I'm going to be explaining all of them. The deeper we go, the more obscure and sometimes disturbing the entries will become. I also wanted to mention that some of these entries have no discernible presence on anywhere on the internet, so a lot of these took a lot of digging. Before we get started, I wanted to mention that only 2% of you are subscribed, so if you want to catch more videos like this one, it would do me a solid if you dropped a subscription. Alright, let's get right into starting at level 1.
Wake up, Buttercup.
Master Chief is John 117. Are we seriously doing this? This is like... No, okay, obviously we are starting off fairly simple. You likely know this. The Master Chief's name is John, his Spartan ID is 117. Bungie to 343 art style change. Everything from the enemies, guns, the Chief, the Arbiter, and more changed in looks. Arguably for the worse, after 343 took the reins of the Halo franchise when Bungie retired it. Bungie. Bungie are the original devs of Halo, who created the holiest of shooters, Halo Combat Evolved, back in 2001 after releasing a bunch of other games throughout the 90s such as Marathon and Myth. 343 Industries are the new devs at Halo who started with the release of Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary back in 2011, and lately they can't stop taking L's. The Scarab gun appears on the Halo 2 mission Metropolis. On this mission there's an Easter egg plasma rifle that fires powerful Scarab beams. It's situated on top of one of the skyscrapers towards the edge of the map. If a player lures a Banshee into the tunnels after they complete the bridge section in the beginning, they can hijack it and go grab the Scarab gun for themselves to ruin the level for everyone. Noble 6 still alive. This is a nod to the Spartan player character from Halo Reach's campaign, Noble 6. Canonically, Noble 6 was killed on Reach. Or was he? This entry is about the running joke in the community that Noble 6 is still in a cave somewhere on Reach where he survived the glassing. You know, despite being stabbed and, you know, dealing with the possibility of starvation. I mean, he must have really acquired a taste of glass. Halo CE's OP pistol. Now, Halo Combat Evolved, otherwise known as Halo CE, has a Magnum pistol in it, which is broken and overpowered. This occurred due to the team on CE believing the pistol to be too weak in multiplayer, so Bungie co-founder Jason Jones then cranked up the damage value last second and by accident opened Pandora's box to every Halo CE multiplayer lobby. The monkey family appears in the first mission of Halo 3, where you can find it as an Easter egg atop some cliffs if the player performs a little bit of parkour through the jungle. The face of one of the Bungie devs is plastered onto each one of these beautiful boys, and if you shoot them or their teddy bears, blood comes out. Yeah, that's appetizing. Not to mention, one of the monkeys appears in Halo 3 ODST as this static alien monkey creature. Buck is confusedly picking bugs off of and eating them for a snack in a cutscene. This is the Sangheili catchphrase that started in Halo CE. The elites in the first Halo game occasionally shout "wart wart wart" in their own language, but this voice line is actually a reversed sample of Sergeant Johnson shouting "go go go." Since then, it's been a meme, and basic Halo nerds everywhere use it as a sign of solidarity. This is a pretty well-known Halo 3 Easter egg toward the latter half of the Ark mission where you can witness the obvious. It's a brood taking a leak. Hidden Grunts. Starting in Halo CE and reappearing throughout the series, secret hidden grunts have appeared in certain spots of the campaign in the form of Easter eggs for the player to find. The most famous one from Halo CE is chilling off the beaten path of the Warthog run. This peaceful grunt only wishes to inform you of how thirsty he is, and how he looks forward to his food nipple back on the starship.
Good thing that food nipple's waiting for me at the starship, cause man, if I worked up a big, grunty thirst!
Skulls are another classic recurring Halo Easter egg, which came around as pickup objects starting in Halo 2. They've also appeared in the Halo Wars games as little bonus objectives in between missions, and appear in Halo 3 Reach and pretty much the rest of the Halos as little pickup objects that allow you to modify the game in various ways, making it either wackier, funnier, or just mind-numbingly horribly hard. The most famous one of the skulls to me would probably be the I Would Have Been Your Daddy skull, which when activated, makes all ally and enemy voice lines much stranger. Lots of rare dialogue comes out much more often. Legendary endings. Across the franchise, beating the campaign on Legendary, the hardest difficulty, grants access to a secret cutscene for the players who dare to complete it. Lasso Challenge. The most challenging way to play the Halo games. One must select Legendary and equip every single skull, hence the name Legendary All Skulls On, or Lasso. It's a challenge so hard that the YouTuber and streamer Critical offered $20,000 to anyone who could beat Halo 2 Lasso, which is already notoriously difficult, but with the added caveat of not dying a single time. This challenge is only for lads with balls of steel. It was recently finally accomplished by Jervalin after the game launched 18 years ago. Jervalin also just finished beating Lasso deathless without shooting as well, meaning he only used grenades and vehicles along with some melee. Wow, that's torture. Various AI quirks of the enemies. The AI throughout the Bungie games, and most recently Halo Infinite, is incredibly complex and challenging compared to most other computer opponents throughout gaming. Each enemy type coordinates with the others in their squads, and they move in units, and each type of enemy has specialized behavior and different functionality. For one example, Grunts will follow elites, but their will to fight will break once their elite is killed. More examples exist, as the AI in Halo has always been pretty complicated, especially for 2001 standards, and I'm not counting Halo 4 and 5 in this because the AI in those games is so bad. ODSTs. The ODSTs, or Orbital Dropshock Troopers, are an elite group of UNSC infantry who drop from orbit in specialized drop pods for special operations on the ground. They are a step above their Marine counterparts and have perhaps the sickest armor in the series. Out of bounds glitches. Really, this applies to every video game that you can break outside the boundaries, but you can do the same in Halo campaign levels, which speedrunners use to great effect, and Halo multiplayer maps. One of the most famous examples is breaking out of Forge World, which is something my friends and I would do using teleporters to glitch out of the map and get more playing space to build anything you really wanted out there. Red vs. Blue is an iconic Halo machinima comedy series started all the way back in 2003 by Rooster Teeth, an entertainment company situated in Austin, Texas. This is perhaps the best piece of fan media ever devised that is so influential it has appeared in Halo games themselves, spawned leagues of inside jokes, and influenced Halo culture for probably forever. The first 8 seasons are among my personal favorites, and it's such an influential series that 10 years later in Halo Infinite, an equipable artificial intelligence color in the customization menu is known as lightish red, being as it is a pink color. This is in reference to the character Donut from Red vs. Blue, who obviously has an insecurity that his armor is pink. The Human Covenant War is the major conflict in Halo lore that follows and surrounds the plotline of the games from Halo Wars to Halo 3. It began after negotiations broke down on the human world of Harvest and kind of carried through to Halo 4 and 5, but at that point the Covenant was dissolved and they were just known as the Actually, what were they called? The Storm faction. Yeah, pretty much just the Covenant still. r/Halo is a subreddit about Halo. It's perhaps the main subreddit about Halo. Hidden Xperia is a popular Halo YouTuber. If you haven't seen his videos yet, you may just enjoy them. Frank O'Connor is the man in charge of 343 Industries. He also moonlights as a janitor in the Halo film Forward Unto Dawn and has several Easter eggs that appear throughout the franchise. Mountain Dew Game Fuel is a limited edition Mountain Dew soft drink flavor produced by Pepsi Cola that was used to promote the release of Halo 3 and Halo 4. It also ties in with the whole MLG, Mountain Dew, Doritos meme, especially because Halo was big around the time of MLG's popularity. Halo Cannon is another Halo YouTuber who makes videos on the Halo lore. A real-life warthog. Now, this refers to the fact that someone made the classic Halo vehicle in real life. Now, it's not just someone. 343 Industries made one. Some civilians have made some. I'm sure there's several out there. Go check them out. They're pretty sick. One of them was actually used in the Halo 4 tie-in film. I'ma call it a film. Forward Unto Dawn, in the final escape sequence. Craig the Brute is a rather hollowed out, dead inside looking brute that was caused by a graphical glitch from the Halo Infinite campaign demo in 2020. The Halo Infinite campaign demo was obviously rushed and led to the titular meme character looking unfinished with a deadpan expression despite being in the heat of combat. The community thus dubbed him as Craig, and he's kind of blown up as a big meme and shot Halo Infinite into popularity. Teabagging, former joke but now redesignated as a hate crime by internet publications and media, you're kidding, is a well-earned reward for killing that one bastard with the sniper rifle. Tag 'em and bag 'em, boys. The Noob Combo. The Noob Combo is a method of attack where players use a plasma pistol overcharge combined with a precision weapon headshot to quickly melt enemies in either Elites and Legendary campaign or just enemy players in multiplayer. It leads to some pretty easy kills, thus the name Noob Combo. Alright, now we're moving on to level 2. Things are going to get a little more obscure. Hold RB to flip. Wait, what? How did you do that? Is a prompt that only appears in Halo 3. You see, in Halo 3, large, human-made mobile bases fit with turrets and room for the whole family, known as elephants, are present on the multiplayer map Sandtrap. While these behemoths make capture the flag amazingly fun, it is highly unlikely you will flip one due to how massive these things are. If one manages to, likely done in Forge using a metric load of explosives or a Scorpion as a wedge, a player will receive a bizarre message on screen that they can flip the vehicle back over using the right bumper, but it mentions it in a more surprised tone, being as it is highly unlikely you'll flip this vehicle. It's a fun reward Easter egg for those who managed the impossible. My family and I actually found this one on our own way back in 2007. It was kind of funny when we figured this out. The Guardians pre-Halo 5. Anytime you died to mysterious circumstances in some of the earlier Halo games, such as getting killed by the towers in Halo 3's sandbox, or getting killed by map scenery in general, the kill feed will announce that you were killed by the Guardians. In Halo CE, if two players kill each other at the exact same time, it will sometimes mention that they were killed by the Guardians in the kill feed as well. Before Halo 5, it was unknown as to who these Guardians were in the Halo lore, which led to several fan theories and questioning, but the mechanics of the game simply explain that the mechanics of the early Halo games established that if a player was killed in an unexplainable way, the kill feed would spit out the classic "killed by the Guardians" message. This occurred in CE because of a glitch where the game could not understand the possibility of a player being killed by another player who was already dead due to the programming of the game. The Halo 3 terminals were some of the first Easter eggs hidden throughout Halo 3's campaigns. The Halo 3 terminals were the first terminals in the Halo series, and were Easter eggs hidden throughout the Halo 3 campaign. From what I've gathered, they also serve as communication between the Chief and a Forerunner AI known as Mendicant Bias, who you'll see mentioned a few more times throughout this ICEBERG. These Forerunner data logs hold much secret info to the lore of the expanded universe, and coincidentally also hold the address to your mom's house. Oh, I'm on my way now. Vidmaster challenges are very difficult side objectives to be accomplished in both Halo 3, Halo 3 ODST, and the Halo mobile games? Yeah, I guess that's right. Now, there are 7 between Halo 3 and Halo 3 ODST, and if a player completed all 4 in Halo 3 and all 3 in ODST, they would earn the coveted Recon armor in Halo 3 multiplayer. This armor suit was so well sought after, it led to multiple fake maps claiming to give a player recon upon download that spread like wildfire throughout the file share. I didn't fall for them one time as a kid. I actually fell for it like 3 times. Also, the hardest Halo 3 challenge, beating the final mission online with 4 players, Iron Skull, and all ghosts, made me cry when I was 9 because the game crashed right when we were about to beat it. Pretty sad, but I ended up getting gifted recons somehow, just randomly a month later. Halo is a cool guy and doesn't afraid of anything. This is a really old meme of a pretty dumb blog post stating, and I quote, "I think Halo is a pretty cool guy. It kills aliens and doesn't afraid of anything." This actually originated on 4chan of all places, but the source of the original blog post is unable to be found. Guys on underwear. Now this came from the ICEBERG website and I actually can't find this one anywhere. On Google I can't find it. I can't find it over here. Not over there. Not underwear. Get it? No, seriously, can someone help me in the comments? I'm guessing it's about Halo merchandise involving underwear with Halo characters on it or something. I really don't know. This entry may just be lost to time and may just be an inside Halo joke that never made it popular on the internet. Johnson's difficulty-specific dialogues refers to how Sergeant Johnson, Halo CE, and Halo 2 sometimes say different things in certain cutscenes depending on what difficulty is selected. Typically, the harder the difficulty, the absolutely funnier his dialogue will become.
You hit Marine?
No, sir.
Then listen up. When I joined the Corps, we didn't have any fancy schmancy tanks. We had sticks. 2 sticks and a rock for a whole platoon. And we had to share the rock. Buck up, boy. You're one very lucky Marine.
What about that scare?
We've all run the simulations. They're tough, but they ain't invincible. Stay with the Master Chief. He'll know what to do. You hit Marine?
No, sir.
Then listen up. Usually the good Lord works in mysterious ways, but not today. This here is 66 tons of straight up HE spewing divine intervention. If God is love, then you can call me Cupid.
What about that scare?
We've all run the simulations. They're tough, but they ain't invincible. Stay with the Master Chief. He'll know what to do.
The BxR Trick is a Halo 2 button combo. There's several Halo 2 button glitches that pros use to give them an absolute edge and produce a massive skill gap in Halo 2's multiplayer. A near instant kill can be accomplished with this technique called the BxR Trick by meleeing, quickly reloading with a full magazine to cancel the melee animation, and then simultaneously headshotting the opponent. Basically what you're doing is hitting B, hitting X, and hitting right trigger for BxR, and a nice combo that leads to an instant kill. It's busted. The number 7 is somewhat of a lucky number in Bungie lore. They love the number, and they include it in every game they've produced since 1991. You might have already heard the number 7 mentioned already in this video, just to give you an idea of how much they love it. They even created Bungie Day on July 7th, or 7/7. They created special playlists in Halo 3 and Halo Reach just for those Bungie days that had awesome modes and gave you double XP in some cases, but you better believe I hit up when I was younger. No, but seriously, they love the number 7 so much I dare you to count up how many times I've said the number 7. The singing grunt from Halo 5. Now, there are a couple singing grunts in the Halo 5 campaign, but one of them is more of an Easter egg than the other. If you find him hidden, he'll be holding one of the skulls of the game, and you can punt him off the cliff if you're a soulless demon. You'll be gifted his skull, but, you know, enjoy the present, you monster. Noble Team's deaths are all ironic. Now, this is a reference to the Halo Reach campaign. Each Spartan in Noble Team dies in an ironic fashion. George sacrifices himself for his homeworld, only for his sacrifice to be in vain. Kat, the brains of the group, is killed with a shot to the brain. The team leader, Carter, goes down with the ship quite literally. Emil, the CQB expert and resident sharp objects enjoyer, is stabbed. And Noble 6, the lone wolf, fittingly dies alone. June's fate is similar. He doesn't die, but since he's the sniper, he just vanishes. So yeah. Technically not ironic though. These are more so fitting fates. It's not irony, but whatever, still cool. The Forerunners are an ancient alien empire that created the Halo rings, the Ark, the Shield worlds, and pretty much every shiny object you fight on in space, before they all perished. The Forerunner Flood War happened hundreds of thousands of years ago, when the Forerunners entered a war with the Flood after the infection entered their controlled realm of the galaxy. This is what led to the Forerunners activating the Halo Rings to commit self-die and take the Flood with them. Ancient Humans. Now, before the cavemen came the Ancient Humans, a spacefaring civilization that warred with the Flood, and soon the Forerunners after they were running from the infection. They also were beaten so bad by the Forerunners due to the whole three-way war thing that they were sent back to the Stone Age. And, then they were nuked by the Halos. EVA-C split screen glitch. Now in Halo Reach, if one equips Emil's unique skull-carved EVA helmet, occasionally, the skull carving itself, that whole decal would be removed and make the player wear a classic EVA helmet. I actually can't find anything about this glitch on the internet. I know that it's happened though because I experienced it myself, but I find it interesting that no one's really detailed it from what I could find. Halo Legends is a collection of 7 short anime films set in the Halo universe released in 2010. Some of them are pretty cool. Most of them are kind of mid. Moving on. In Halo 3 ODST, posters detailing the planned future Bungie looter shooter Destiny. This Easter egg was since removed after 343 took over the Halo franchise. In Halo Reach, in the final mission, if you hold down the look stick during the final cutscene set within the Pillar of Autumn, you will catch a glimpse of Master Chief napping in his cryotube. This is a cool teaser for Halo CE, which occurs next in the timeline. Yap Yap the Destroyer. Perhaps the most notable and longest living grunt in the Halo series, Yap Yap was a low-ranking deacon in the Covenant's Ministry of Sanitation. So basically he was just an honorary custodian. He was kidnapped by the Banished, where he soon leads Grunts to rebel against Atriox. He appears throughout the series, and multiple different facets between inside jokes, events, and the future Halo Infinite event, The Yappening. Wait, it's actually called The Yappening? But he's also a playable DLC leader in Halo Wars 2. Thirsty Grunt. This is a reference to one of the hidden grunts in the game. More specifically, the first one from Halo Combat Evolved, who can be found off the beaten path, like I described earlier. We're moving on. Moa and Moa Burgers. Now, the Moa are large, emu-like birds that inhabit Reach, and can be found, and if you want to, shot in the campaign. They're also a crucial ingredient for Moa Burgers, which are advertised across food kiosks all over New Alexandria. They also are the flavor of a limited-time Pringles can that was used to promote Halo Infinite. Yeah, that's right, Moa Burger Pringles once were sold to advertise Halo. I really wish I got the chance to try them, though. The Logic Plague is a term that refers to the Flood's technique to infect and corrupt artificial intelligence. Mendicant Bias was a Forerunner AI in charge of the Forerunner's defenses against the Flood until it went rampant and joined the Flood after the Flood tinkered with it a little bit. Halo 3 ODST was rushed. I really like Halo 3 ODST, but there are tons of reports of rushed developments similar to Halo 2. This explains a lack of multiplayer and underwhelming amount of content on display. Meg. In Halo CE, there's a hidden Easter egg as a gift from the lead designer to his girlfriend, Meg. If you combine Meg and the word Easter egg, you get Meg with 2 G's, hence the name. The Easter egg is simply a pool of blood in the shape of a heart on the ceiling in the first mission with her first initial drawn in bullets. How romantic. The Meg also makes an appearance in Halo 2. Throughout the Halo series, you can find several references to the creators of Red vs. Blue, Rooster Teeth. Just a few I can remember off the top of my head are the Rooster Teeth themed vending machines in Halo 2 on the map Turf, and the RvB cast voice actors making cameos as Marines arguing through a door on the Halo 3 mission Crow's Nest. As you can see, this company left quite an impact on Halo. Halo Combat Evolved Beta 1749. This is an incredibly early beta build of Halo Combat Evolved. There appears to be a complete campaign and several multiplayer maps, but mostly just with jank and missing or altered gameplay features and cutscenes. Seems like the lighting and textures were also not finished everywhere, and the sound effects are quite different too. General Heed. This is another popular Halo YouTuber who investigates Easter eggs, glitches, and mysteries that populate the Halo series. You will see some video clips from his channel throughout the video. Master Chief, you mind telling me what you're doing on that ship is a reference to Lord Hood's question for Master Chief in the final cutscene of Halo 2. I'm literally ruining every Halo joke by just describing them. Fine, okay. Anyway, in the final cutscene of Halo 2, Master Chief replies with the tagline, "Sir," finishing this fight, before the most ball-busting cliffhanger ending made Halo fans cry in 2004. It's obviously become a bit of a meme as I described, with some variations being produced to great effect.
Master Chief, you mind telling me what you're doing on that wall?
Sir, security camera.
Intel. This is an entry I added to the iceberg because it's kind of important. Throughout the Halo games, alongside skulls are intel, terminals, and datapad collectibles that detail extra lore in the universe. The most memorable one for me is the datapad on the first mission of Halo Reach on Legendary difficulty, which has you quickly chase down an invisible elite and kill him before he escapes. Intel even makes an appearance in Halo Infinite as playable audio logs that tell the story of the crew as they tried to survive and fight on Zeta Halo, and some even detail the story behind the Banished. Current objectives survive. We're back at it right now with another ruining of another great meme. This refers to the final mission objective you receive on your HUD at the end of Halo Reach. As all had been done to stop the Covenant and get the Chief and Cortana off of Reach, all that remains for Noble Six is to fight on until his eventual death. This meme was pretty popular during the quarantine of 2020 onwards due to obvious reasons. BBC used the UNSC logo accidentally. Yep, that's right. If the news couldn't get any more embarrassingly lousy, here's a classic gem where the BBC referenced Halo by accident.
Under scrutiny. First, there was this.
Amnesty International has accused the United Nations of failing to show leadership to match the courage of protesters in Syria over the past year. In its annual report, Amnesty says the UN Security Council has been...
Creepy Cortana glitch. Now, I'm surprised this one isn't lower. This one's actually kind of obscure. I didn't even know what it was. This is a glitch in the Halo Master Chief collection that occurs in the final moments of Halo 2's legendary ending. After the cutscene fades to black, no matter which graphics setting you're in, it glitches and fades back in with a still model of Cortana just standing there.
All right. Shoot.
This just goes on, by the way. It's pretty strange. I don't even know how this would happen. Official Halo 2 condoms. Master Chief, you mind telling me what you're doing on that contraceptive? Yes, it's a Halo 2 promotional condom. I'm not making this up. This was a thing. New Alexandria Pelican. Now, the Halo Infinite flyable Pelican glitch wasn't the first. In Halo Reach, on the mission New Alexandria, if a player performs a series of button presses around the city and flies their Falcon through a hoop-shaped building, it will transform into a Pelican in an instant. The same effect occurs with the Banshee, but instead it becomes a phantom dropship. I don't know how people found this insane Easter egg, but it's pretty sick, not gonna lie. Office of Naval Intelligence, or ONI. These guys are the intelligence branch of the UNSC Navy, but have since been up to some shady activity. These Fed boys go a little too far down the police state route, and in one case become the antagonists in the Hunt the Truth episodic podcast, as they hunt down journalist Benjamin Jarrod, who is digging way too deep into Halo lore. He's trying to uncover the truth of the Spartans.
They would systematically scan the building until they found me. And then they were going to stuff me in a bag. I closed my eyes, tried to disappear. The sounds had gotten faint. This was my chance.
Go check it out if you want a really good listen. The Tribute Room. This is an Easter egg where once again secret buttons must be pressed that allow entry to Halsey's secret lab, which is decorated and adorned with several databases that serve as a thank you to fans and the Halo community as a whole. There are references to Red vs. Blue again, Bungie.org, and more. This is perhaps the most wholesome Easter egg out there, as it was Bungie's final thank you and goodbye to the community, as this was their final Halo game. References to Marathon. In many of the Bungie Halo games, there are references to a previous Bungie game known as Marathon in the form of logos, insignias, and much more. There's so many references that I won't even bother listing them. Various Halo Flash games. With a franchise as popular as Halo, it seems obvious that fan-made interpretations would have to emerge. The early 2000s witnessed not just the rise of Halo, but concurrently the rise of Flash games hosted across various free gaming sites. These websites would host many inspired by the Halo series. Now we are entering level 3. Some of these entries are going to start getting stranger and a lot more mysterious. I believe the average viewer probably won't know half of these, so let's see how many you get. Bungie wanted to end Halo on Halo 2. Now there's a quote from Marty O'Donnell where he described that Halo 2 is originally supposed to not end on a cliffhanger, but the company would see Master Chief and Arbiter team up on Earth to destroy the Ark and the Covenant. In a Game Rant article he is quoted as saying, "We just couldn't finish the plan. It was just impossible. So, everything got rejiggered, and we had the cliffhanger to end all cliffhangers." This makes a lot of sense as well considering the hellish development that Halo 2 went through, with the game barely being finished in time for launch. It would make sense with this rushed development that they would have to cut it short on a cliffhanger, and it has been evident that Bungie did not want the game to end on a cliffhanger but actually end with a complete story. Further, you can find tons of cut sections from Halo 2, so it makes it obvious that this desire from Bungie did exist. Cancelled Halo MMO. It has been revealed that prior to the dissolution of Ensemble Studios, workers at the company were quietly developing a project in secret. It was a massive multiplayer online game codenamed Titan, which was going to be set in the Halo universe. The game ended up getting cancelled during the mid-2000s, and it makes sense that they were making a Halo MMO, as World of Warcraft popularized the genre and became a bit of a gravy train, and Halo could have jumped on that market. I would love to peek into an alternate universe to see how this game would have ended up. Oh yeah, now we're getting to some of the weirder entries. Halo 2's marketing campaign included a mysterious website that served as a front for an ARG known as ilovebees.com. This alternate reality game was made up of a beekeeper website that was corrupted by a virus, several payphone calls, some Halo Expanded Universe lore, and ended in participants in the mystery being granted an early playtest of Halo 2. It's actually a pretty awesome ARG with some Halo lore elements mixed into reality. Players involved in solving the ARG mystery communicated with actors on designated payphones who are playing characters set in the Halo universe. This creepy site is still up today as well. Go check out my video on the topic if you'd like more info. Halo 3 was an allegory of the Iraq War. Alright, this one's a bit controversial, so don your tinfoil hats. This entry refers to a talking point in theory that Halo 3 is an allegory that mirrors the US invasion of Iraq and the geopolitical situation in the Middle East in the early to mid-2000s. Here's how the theory goes. The events in the Halo series surround a Western-styled military fighting against a zealous, religious army, who are in this case, the Covenant, who wishes to see the destruction of the Western-styled human civilization. The Covenant also goes through a schism that leads to the Covenant civil war between the elites and brutes, which complicates the Covenant's war efforts against the humans, which has been compared to the schism that occurred in the Middle East that led to a Cold War in the region. A Time article on the subject discredits the theory by stating that Halo as a series began years before the invasion of Iraq, and I must say these facets of Halo's story seem to just be cherry-picked coincidences. Just because two things seem similar doesn't mean that one is attempting to reference the other. It is also a very controversial topic, going so far to the point where I generalized things a lot in this description, so I doubt Bungie would try to tell this story or take such a large risk with alienating their audience. Sangheili's love letter to Palmer. Yes, this is real. In Halo 5, several pieces of intel are hidden throughout the campaign. The player can find this intel where an elite is confessing his love to Spartan Palmer in the form of a love letter. It's great. Check it out.
Erase previous recording, begin new recording. I saw you standing at your ship with armored hand on armored hip. Both my hearts began to pound. So lovely was what I found. I love your brightly shining armor, human named Commander Palmer. I wish that we... What are you doing here, Grunt? What are you laughing at? I will tear up your arms!
Okay, this is epic. The character who wrote this is named Veltroikike. In the Halo 2 mission's Sacred Icon, there is a mistextured green Forerunner door. This is likely intentional and may reference a restaurant named the Green Door located near Bungie's old studio. This restaurant is possibly an old favorite of theirs and could have carried them through the harsh development of Halo 2. The Mantle of Responsibility. Now, the Mantle of Responsibility is a Forerunner philosophy that refers to a designation bestowed upon a civilization by the Precursors, a more advanced, almost godlike race who made life in the Milky Way galaxy according to Halo lore. If a species retained the mantle, they were de facto superior species in the galaxy, and were responsible with tending to all life throughout the cosmos. The Forerunners were originally granted this badge of honor until the Precursors gave it to the ancient humans, which led to the Forerunners leading a war and genocide against the Precursors. Food nipple. Say that with a straight face. So apparently the food nipple that the thirsty grunt from Halo CE was making a ruckus about is actually canon. Grunts are fed blue liquid from legit tubes as if they are hamsters, and it seems to be one of the few solaces in their miserable lives, even though it seems they just tolerate it. Man, grunts have such a depressing existence. Cortana got infected by the logic plague. This is a theory that Cortana suddenly becoming a villain in Halo 5 was more easily explained by her time spent locked up and tortured by the Gravemind. According to this theory, it appears that the Gravemind's attempts at infecting her with the Logic Plague may have been successful, which led her to revolt against all life starting in Halo 5, and as detailed further in Halo Infinite as she used the Forerunner's guardians to police the universe, like an absolute megalomaniac. This would help solve the issues of Halo 5 and Infinite's narratives if this theory happened to be true. It would help explain away the bizarre and overly jarring switch of Cortana to being a villain so rapidly. Fake worm leak. After Halo Reach, an image of a worm monster facing the Master Chief was leaked and was speculated to be a leak of Halo 4. For years, it polluted Halo 4 speculation videos where fans were excited to fight alien wildlife across a new world in a hopefully upcoming Halo. At the time, 343 Industries took the helm of Halo, but fans were not really sure where it would go from there. Turns out this leak is fake and was just a fan-produced image. I remember actually falling for this picture myself when I was 11 or so, and a lot of fans actually were kind of hyped to see what this new company could do with Halo 4. Get your s'mores, pull up a chair. This is a classic spooky story for the Halo fans of old. A player and his AFK friend were in an empty online match on the map Lockout in Halo 2. Without warning, a ghost-like player manifested into the map and began sliding around the map. Lacking movement animations, this player did not appear in the scoreboard and did not have a name tag. The anomaly chased down one of the players who was recording it in the lobby and began sticking them with plasma grenades. This video went semi-viral within the Halo 2 community, prompting questions and theories to run wild. Some dismissed it as a glitch. Others, however, immediately accused it of being a paranormal entity that somehow found its way into Halo 2. Many more believed the video was faked or staged, until other players began running into anomalies that behaved just like this one in Halo 2's matchmaking across multiple maps, including Lockout and Turf. These ghosts in these cases killed players with lethal precision and what seemed to be game-breaking cheats. Thus, the legend of the Ghost of Lockout was born. As the legend grew with age, it became understood that these bugged-out ghosts of players are likely just regular players that encountered networking issues, so their animations and name tags were removed upon connecting. Could it be a possible ghost haunting Halo 2 servers? Probably not, but some players report running into these ghosts in offline custom game lobbies. I guess you can never know. Didact confirmed alive by coloring book. Yeah, this is real. In the Halo Adult Coloring Book, which is now my favorite oxymoron, it is confirmed that the Didact is not dead, but instead imprisoned in the domain. What a meme. Crazy Marine and 343 Guilty Spark. This is a reference to the Marine that's suffering a mental breakdown after his encounter with the Flood. His squad lost and reanimated by the Flood. He somehow escaped where you find him against a wall. If you get too close, he'll shoot at you with his pistol, believing you to be part of the Flood in an attempt to infect him.
Stay back! Stay back! You're not turning me into one of those things! I'll blow your brains out! Get away from me! Don't touch me, you freak!
He must have left quite an imprint on players, and you can see another crazed Marine in Halo 3, secret mangled elites in Halo 1. In Halo CE, on the 343 Guilty Spark mission, a mangled elite can be seen in a cutscene, teasing the release of the Flood. In Halo Anniversary, you can actually get to this body in gameplay through an exploit, but normally it isn't supposed to appear as the Flood have taken him. .Fortune. If you name a profile or map name .Fortune in the Xbox version of Halo CE, a random Easter egg phrase will appear on the screen. This comes from a joke embedded within Bungie.net's Myth meta server. I have walked among men and angels for 3,000 years is a hidden message that can be heard in the Mausoleum Suite track from Halo 2's original soundtrack if you play the song in reverse. It was once argued that this was the inner monologue of the Arbiter. Popular theories have now emerged that state that this is the voice of Mendicant Bias, the Forerunner military AI that defected to the Flood. Scrapped Halo 2 Warthog Run. At the end of Halo 2's Gravemind mission, scrapped sections of map have been uncovered that reveal a Warthog Run was planned similar to Halo CE's ending. In fact, the Halo community has found a whole separate mission related to this Warthog Run in the files. This would likely have seen the Master Chief drive along a track against a timer to reach the key ship before it takes off, and hide Charity. Warthog runs have only been seen in Halo CE and Halo 3, and there is a mod that recovered this mission which allows players to experience this scrapped Halo 2 Warthog run for themselves. Soccer Ball. This is another entry I've added. In between Griff Ball, soccer balls and golf club items in Forge, Halo is no stranger to sports. The first soccer ball in the series was in Halo 2. An oversized soccer ball Easter egg that you can play with is hidden on the Halo 2 map Metropolis. Halo 2's troubled development. This is a reference to the overworked staff at Bungie who developed Halo 2 in rushed and difficult conditions. It's amazing this game even released working at this rate, as their undertaking was quite massive, and employees at the company worked extremely long hours. In Halo lore, the Precursors are an ancient and highly advanced alien race that have godlike powers. They were the ones who redesignated the humans as the holders of the Mantle of Responsibility, which frustrated the Forerunners greatly. Origins of the Flood. After the Forerunners decimated the Precursors in the ensuing war due to being picked second as the Precursors' favorite species, the remaining Precursors converted themselves into dust to prolong their existence. Some of the Precursor dust became corrupted and sick. I don't know how dust becomes sick, but go off. Which ended up being found in glass cylinders on Earth by ancient humans. The humans' pets began to snack on the dust, which slowly mutated them into monsters and led to the Flood outbreak that would end in the eradication of the Forerunners. Halo Chronicles. This is a cancelled Halo game from 2006 that was in development until eventual cancellation in 2009. It was developed by Wingnut Interactive, a studio built from elements of Microsoft Game Studios, and strangely enough, director Peter Jackson? Yeah, so basically the game would focus more on a narrative story, which explains why the director was brought on board. The gameplay involved the player taking control of either a lowly Marine, or possibly a human miner who ended up in Covenant captivity, where they would make contact with a Forerunner weapon that would slowly evolve them into a powerful Forerunner warrior known as the Promethean. There is no relation between this Promethean to the Halo 4 and 5 Promethean enemies. This was instead more of a super soldier. The project was dropped after the Halo film deal with Peter Jackson fizzled out. Parts of the game's mechanics would end up in Halo 3 ODST. Halo 3 Secret Elite. In the Halo 3 mission The Covenant, an unarmed elite AI can be found just chilling in the snow. It's puzzled players for a while as they theorize why it's even there, honestly. Could just be a glitch or a mistake. Dead Talking Elite from Halo 2. In the Halo 2 mission Uprising, you will encounter the bodies of some elites that were killed by the Brutes right when the Covenant Civil War began. If you beat one with an energy sword, he will begin speaking from the grave. Kinda creepy. .ass file. .ass, or Amalgam Scene Specification, is a source file type from Halo 2. Modders have since discovered that during map creation, since the map files would export from 3ds Max as .ass files, if they encountered an error converting it into game levels, they would be graced with a special .ass error. This resulted in Halo 2 Vista receiving the coveted partial nudity warning, since a Bungie employee's master cheeks are in full display in this .ass error. The 3 dead grunts. This strange hidden mystery is a collection of 3 dead grunts at the bottom of a pit of the Halo CE mission, Assault on the Control Room. These are actually just grunts that have been teleported from the playing area to their death as a strange method of garbage collection to save game resources. Wallace Jenkins. This is a Marine that becomes partially infected during the initial outbreak of the Flood on Installation 04, and is also the one who owned the helmet that recorded the classic Flood reveal helmet cam cutscene that the Master Chief views before he encounters the Flood for the first time. Jenkins' Flood infection was luckily ineffective as he still retained partial control over his body, but this didn't stop his life from becoming a living hell, where the infection form mutated his body and injured him as it transformed him into some conscious monster. After getting interrogated by some fellow Marines, Jenkins ended up being taken with the Marines in an operation to hijack the Covenant ship the Truth and Reconciliation. The Marines and ODSTs aboard the operation seized the vessel as the Flood broke on board, and they planned to take it back to Earth. Jenkins intended to destroy the ship instead, as he knew taking it back to Earth would be too much of a threat considering the presence of the Flood on board, and along with an ODST who recognized the threat as well, they managed to damage it and drop it to the surface of the ring to eradicate the Flood on board along with Jenkins. He thanked the ODST for ending his suffering. Dang. That's pretty heavy. The Forerunner Maginot Line. The real Maginot Line in our timeline was a heavily defensive line of fortifications along the French-German border that in theory would stop a German attack, which was eventually thwarted in World War II when the Germans simply went around it. In Halo, this name was given to the Forerunner defensive line that was set to protect the inner colonies of Forerunner space. This was eventually breached by the Flood. Master Chief's full name. The Master Chief's full name is currently not known. We know his first name is John, and that's as far as it gets, unfortunately. Bungie regrets calling Halo Combat Evolved. This is possibly in reference to the subtitle of Halo being designed to attract shooter fans by including the word combat within it. Halo at the time was just perhaps too vague of a title and didn't allude to a military sci-fi shooter. The original title for the game was set to just be Halo, Despite this, the original title for the game was set to be just Halo without the subtitle, but I can't find any articles attributing the fact that Bungie regrets it. I recall this being true. I heard it somewhere long ago, but it's been so long and I can't find any internet resources, but it is true that they would have rather just named it Halo to keep with the brand Halo. Minstrel Chief. In the 2008 released open world RPG Fable 2, players can acquire Hal's outfit if they bought the limited edition of the game. Now the name actually looks kind of familiar. Hold on a second. Could it be? Yeah, it's a Halo suit pretty much. You can also get an energy sword and assault rifle named Hal's Sword and Hal's Rifle in the game as well. Hal has thus been known by the community as Minstrel Chief, as he is the medieval alternate dimension Master Chief. HaloSpawns.com. Now this is a website that is strangely not just still up for some reason, but also really impressive. It's an immersive simulation tool that teaches players the functionality and respawn mechanics in Halo CE's team play. Multiple Halo CE maps are rendered in low detail in 3D, and you can maneuver around them and analyze the possibility of respawning at certain points in the map. In fact, quite a few fan-made maps have also been included that must have been popular in the competitive scene, but weren't in the base game when it launched. This site is a bit like a hidden gem, but it perplexes me why it's still up. In Halo 3 ODST, this is more so a joke, honestly, but Buck says a no word in a cutscene. He calls Dare a sus word that refers to a military secret agent, but this word also happens to be a double meaning for a slur. It's very likely they just intended the military agent one though. Master Chief's secret face in Halo 3. In the Halo 3 beta, the Master Chief and multiplayer Spartans bizarrely have a human face modeled within their helmets. The question has then been posed, who at Bungie modeled their face for this helmet, or is this perhaps Master Chief's currently unrevealed face? It is unknown why it was implemented as well. Perhaps it was used to properly model the helmets in a correct scale to prevent the Halo Infinite issue, with some of the helmets being way too shrunk for a normal human head, which honestly are just too weird. Haloid. Haloid is an intense and well-animated fight scene between Samus from Metroid and Master Chief from Halo. Hence, combining the names Metroid and Halo, you get Haloid. The main man behind this production was Monty Ohm, the same fight animator and choreographer who would later be behind the fight scenes in RvB Season 8 through 10. Neural physics. This is a technology from Halo canon that feels more like magic. Basically, just like Minecraft creative mode, a user of neurophysics can materialize solid matter using their mind. Or at least, that's my understanding of the term. The precursors were the only race who could use and wield this power, at least until they all up and died. It is hinted that the Flood may use it in a way to manage their hive mind and communicate over long distances. This would make sense, as the Flood are technically the effect of a corrupted precursor, and it would make sense that they still retain this ability. Stopping the train in Terminal. In Halo 2, a DLC map, Terminal, centers around a train that rushes up and down the map that road kills players. It has long been questioned if this indestructible force of nature could be stopped. General Heed managed to defeat this lord of a locomotive by spawning in a whole battalion of elites in Halo 2 MCC, which bugged out the train and stopped it from spawning because he overloaded the game. This theory rings true this time around, but it required a bit of a mod, so I don't know if you could stop it in normal gameplay means. Halo 2 Mario Death Sound. This Easter egg occurs in Halo 2 when the player is killed. It is apparently rare. I mean, I've never heard it myself, so it likely is very uncommon. Rex. In Halo CE and Halo 2, writing in the form of blood can be found spelling out Rex in a few secret areas of the campaign. This is a reference to a Bungie programmer's username Ferrix. It was added by Tyson Green, as that was his gamer tag. Also, apparently, on the other side of the original CE Rex mark on the mission The Maw, there is a bloody which has since been removed from the Anniversary Edition for obvious reasons. Yeah, so apparently this weird bloody symbol is behind the Rex mark on the opposite side of the wall. Evidence of it is on the Halo fandom page if you want. I do not know why they would add it to a Halo Easter egg. That just seems kind of strange and a little crass, I suppose. Spongebob house is in Halo 2. Yeah, Spongebob is canon in the Halo universe. Various human businesses within the games. There are tons of canonical human businesses littering the Halo campaign levels and multiplayer maps. Optican's medical supplies, Frank's seafood, Mizraya Armory, and Traxxas industrial equipment are some of the ones I remember the most. Now, a few fun facts are Halo Infinite references several of these companies. Many of the cosmetics that can be unlocked or purchased include the Halo Lore Accurate Manufacturing company that produced it in the description. Additionally, the Halo 3 ODST-based Superintendent AI that you can equip in Halo Infinite will sometimes mention Mizraya Armory whenever you're using an assault rifle or get kills with it. Harmless Jackal. In the Halo Reach mission Winter Contingency, the player can find a harmless jackal hidden in secret. This is the same jackal that leaps across the level to tease the Covenant's arrival for the player. Halo Online is a multiplayer-focused Halo game developed by Saber Interactive and Innova Systems in collaboration with 343. A closed alpha test began in 2015 in Russia exclusively, where it was cancelled in 2016. This is a direct sequel to Halo 3 and ran on the Halo 3 engine with new weapons, vehicles, a new forge mode, maps, playable elites, and new customization options. This eventually leaked as a mod known as El Dorito and was one of the few places to play modern Halo games on PC at the time in 2018. The Sandwich is another one I added to the iceberg. In Halo Infinite's campaign, Open World, there's a giant sandwich hidden in the map surrounded by static, worshipping grunts. The rookie's real name. It's Jonathan Doherty, or Doherty. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's been revealed in the Halo Encyclopedia. After all these years, strangely. Mr. Chief. This is a joke character based on the Master Chief and was created by Frank O'Connor and appeared in Bungie weekly updates. It has since become a staple of the franchise as cosmetics, marketing material, Easter eggs, and even a selectable AI in Halo Infinite. Arby and the Chief. Not quite as popular as Red vs. Blue, Arby and the Chief is another web series that surrounds, this time, action figures from the Halo franchise going on dopey adventures while being dubbed over by text-to-speech robot voice actors. I added this one to the Berg as well because it kinda has to be here. It isn't very popular nowadays, but back in the day in Halo 3, it was a bit of an underground cult classic.
I see you bought the heroic backpack.
Yeah, I used John's credit card.
Who's John?
The human that lives here with me.
I see. Do you think the maps were worth $10?
Yeah, who doesn't have $10? I wipe my ass with $10.
Level 4 of the iceberg. If I sound any different, it's because I'm recording on a different day where allergies are kicking up quite a bit, so do keep that in mind. Flipyap. Flipyap is an Easter egg from Halo 3, which also appears in Halo 3 ODST. If the I would have been your daddy's skull is active, randomly when you kill a grunt, randomly in the campaign whenever you kill a grunt, another grunt will shout at you for killing his brother, claiming that the fallen grunt's name is Flipyap. Or was it Yap Flip? Apparently the two grunts graduated from Nipple Academy together, and this is a pretty rare voice line. This makes sense in that I would have been your daddy is a skull that when active will increase the prevalence of rare enemy and friendly voice lines, but this Flipyap line is most certainly one of the funniest.
You killed Flipyap! Or Yap Flip, was he? It was Yap Flip. No, Flipyap is his brother. Don't tell me I don't know Flipyap! Flipyap and I went to Nipple Academy together, and he's dead.
Craig the Brute was staged for publicity. What seemed like an innocent accident in the form of a hollowed out soul of a brute in the rushed Halo Infinite demo has since been accepted by Xbox as an official mascot. Craig has also been reborn as an Easter egg in Halo Infinite, when he has since become a prolific performing rock star on tour across Zeta Halo for his new album next to one of the skull items in the campaign. It also generated a lot of publicity and memes around the upcoming Halo title. The question thus arises, was this all according to plan? Was Craig's low-quality mug part of the plan to advertise Halo? How deep does this rabbit hole go? Of course, this is just a theory. I think this was just an honest mistake. Meg in Halo 2. The Meg from Halo CE makes a few appearances in Halo 2, including a marking in a rock face and a sound clip that plays in the Mission Cairo station that says, "Meg, please report to the red courtesy phone. Meg to the red courtesy phone." Throughout the open world of New Mombasa and Halo 3 ODST, graffiti left by citizens can be found plastered across the city walls, one of which reads, "Fascists," possibly in protest to the UNSC or ONI. This has since been removed as far as I can remember. Why this is included on the iceberg? Perhaps it's just a stranger part of Halo lore that you would have such a pretty charged political message thrown into the game such as this, but it is important in a way because it actually highlights the lore of Halo even further by painting the government in not such a great light and displaying that there are several detractors of the United Earth government. Other messages written throughout Halo 3 ODST and graffiti include "Remember Reach," "Militia ain't worth spit," "Hell on Earth," "Twilight of Man," "UNSC equals liars," and honestly much more. Bungie considered making Halo 4 before Reach in ODST. Bungie, as is reported by a Game Rant article, apparently wished to continue the Master Chief story past Halo 3 before the release of ODST. They planned on telling a story of the Chief waking from cryosleep and continuing onto a new journey. I would love to actually see an alternate universe where Bungie continued working on Halo and see where they could have taken the franchise from there. A decal of a Windows logo can be seen on devices in Halo 3. I guess Windows 7 is canon in Halo then. Happy Birthday Lauren is a Halo 3 Easter egg that can only be seen if the date is set to December 25th, or Christmas. If your Xbox is disconnected from Xbox Live, and if you press both sticks down during a loading screen for the campaign, the message, "Happy Birthday, Lauren" is inscribed faintly onto the ring hologram on the loading screen. Lauren is the wife of Bungie programmer Adrian Perez. It's really cool that Adrian actually snuck this little Easter egg in, and honestly, I remember this one going unsolved and undiscovered for a long time. Golden Warthog. Throughout Halo 2, there are billboards of a civilian warthog without a gun and a drippin' gold paint job. Players sought to drive this mythical whip, and a hoax appeared teaching players to follow a sequence of steps to get one to spawn on the Halo 2 map Headlong, of which the Golden Hog billboard is actually situated in. Players unfortunately wouldn't be able to drive this vehicle, until luckily it arrived in the Halo 2 Anniversary Forge canvas, 10 whole years later. I didn't know about this until researching for this video. This is perhaps the most disturbing part of the Halo lore. When ancient humans first uncovered the glass cylinders full of corrupted precursor dust hundreds of thousands of years ago, they unknowingly unleashed the flood for the first time when they allowed their pets to, for some reason, snack on the dust within the glass cylinders. Sooner or later, these pets ended up biting and attacking their owners, and the infected humans were not converted into combat forms or mindless drones, likely due to a lack of Gravemind or Central Hivemind command. Instead, they retained their conscience, but felt compelled by the infection to spread and cannibalize each other. These mutated humans began forming crazed cults that abducted uninfected humans. They then forced the uninfected to eat the flesh of still alive infected humans that carried the flood, until they themselves became infected as well. Basically, this is all sorts of terrifying. Big thanks to Hidden Xperia for the info here. I've seen isolated mentions, but it's actually such a deep down part of the lore. I think it's probably only within a single one of the books. I haven't even found the details on Halo canon websites. Cut Marine execution scene. This sounds like a disturbing cutscene that was likely planned to show the evils of the Covenant and the horrors of the Human Covenant War. Either that, or it was to show fellow Marines execute a defector. I highly doubt the second option, but this is all my speculation, as I've heard of this before, long ago. This rings a bell, but I can't find anything written on the internet about it. Perhaps this is such an isolated mention, or a dated conversation that's been buried by modern search queries, as I can't find it anywhere. I do remember hearing about this. It's likely that it was a brute from Halo 3, or some sort of Covenant patrol, but they would end up horrifically executing a Marine, who was, of course, a prisoner of war. Halo is no stranger to showing off somewhat terrifying things in warfare, so this isn't too far from the tree. I wonder how they would have portrayed this, however. If anyone can help me find more information on this entry, leave it in the comments for me. Halo the Movies. This is a DVD containing media from Halo CE and Halo 2, along with pre-Xbox Halo gameplay footage. The DVD was only given to Bungie employees and was never put up for sale. There's a message on the DVD that orders the employees that received it not to make copies or, and I quote, "We will find you and summarily kick your ass." Fortunately for us, someone leaked the entire DVD. Unfortunately, this may have led to an ass kicking. Halo multiplayer maps actually have lore, and some of it can be viewed in the map descriptions. It's pretty fascinating to think that the Halo lore is so rich and diverse that even simple multiplayer maps would receive paragraphs upon paragraphs of background story, which don't just appear in the game, but appear in all sorts of places throughout Halo canon. The Katana. My favorite armor cosmetic as a kid. The Katana in Halo 3 is an unlockable chest piece that was unlockable by earning 49 out of 79 achievements or by obtaining 1000 gamer points. Halo Infinite would later implement hip-mounted katanas for the Uri armor core, since the armor core has an Eastern or samurai-like inspiration. The katana chest piece in Halo 3 was simply just a Hayabusa chest plate with a katana attached to the back. The Noble 14. This is another entry that I've added to the iceberg. At midnight, April 15th, 2010, Microsoft ended Xbox Live service for Halo 2. Online matchmaking, for perhaps the most revolutionary step in online gaming, was being shut down for good. After news of this shutdown became public, hundreds flocked to Halo 2's servers and found that despite the shutdown, as long as their console was still on, they were able to play unlimitedly in the servers until they signed out of their accounts. In that case, no more Halo 2 for them. Eventually, only 14 players remained of the original mass turnout, each of which's gamer tags are etched into the halls of Halo history. These noble 14 players were in a desperate holdout to experience Halo 2 for what seemed like the last time, in order to send a message to Microsoft that they paid for this product, and lots of people still wish to experience its online play. Each player dropped one by one from the servers until only one remained. The final player, Apache N4SIR, was booted at 1:58 AM on May 11th. His console stayed on for almost a month, and he was alone for a full 20 plus hours in the Halo 2 servers. Halo CE alternate box covers. Apparently, Halo CE had shipped with alternate box covers, at least if this entry in the iceberg is anything to believe. What I'm showing on screen right now is perhaps one of them, but this specific image seems like a fan-made recreation of it. I can't find much info on this topic online, but there are instances of the box art including a Game of the Year seal printed on future printings of Halo CE. Halo Custom Edition also received an altered back to the box art that teased the new weapons available in multiplayer, in this case, the Halo CE fuel rod cannon. Fun fact, Halo Infinite mirrors Halo CE's box art closely, which makes sense as it's a spiritual reboot to the series. The face on the moon in Halo 3. This is an Easter egg on the map Standoff in Halo 3. Chris Carney, a Bungie employee, can be witnessed on the moon if you get out your telescope, or I guess sniper. That works too. Which difficulty is canon? Bungie and many fans have admitted the second hardest difficulty, the heroic difficulty, is canon. This is also coincidentally the most fun difficulty, as legendary is kind of a sweat fest. Missing scanner on Marine's hand. It's labeled on the iceberg as sort of an obscurity, perhaps a glitch, and this is perhaps referencing a glitch from Halo CE, as every Marine wearing a helmet has a green helmet scanner lens over their eye. Perhaps the issue here is that a Marine spawns in the Halo CE campaign without that head scanner, and it might be a mistype, that it's not a hand scanner but a head scanner. There's no way to tell here, I can't find any information about this anywhere. Princess Peach and Cortana have the same voice actor. Yup, Jen Taylor voices both of the famous characters. Energy Sword is based off of 1500s Indian weapons. Halo's Energy Sword may just yet take inspiration from a historical weapon that was used in the Mughal Empire by its soldiers. The grip, or hilt I suppose, is perpendicular to the blade, enforcing the thrusting use of this weapon as if you were punching your target. That's very similar of course to the Energy Sword, where it has a horizontal handle with blades that run perpendicular to it. Although, in this case, the Energy Sword is more of a slashing weapon, and it has two separate blades. It's kind of cool, the sword's actually called a Qatar, and it's actually interesting because you would basically punch your enemy with it. Cheney Mania achievement. This is a cup medal from the early Halo days that a player would earn for killing a teammate. This is in reference to Dick Cheney, ex-vice president under George W. Bush. During his tenure, he accidentally shot a lawyer named Harry Whittington with a shotgun while participating in a quail hunt. Luckily, the lawyer survived, and thus, the team-killing medal was born.
Do the Dick Cheney one.
Do the Dick Cheney one. If you shoot one of your own players, then you would have heard, although this didn't end up happening, you would have heard my voice going, Cheney Mania! You suck. But they cut that too.
Ling Ling is Bungie's studio dog. It was once lost, but has since been found. Well, actually, just the dog's head. I don't know where it came from, but Bungie keeps a severed dog head in a jar of formaldehyde as a bit of a good luck charm. Bro, I don't understand it, but apparently when the head in the jar was lost, they put up missing dog flyers until it was found. It also graces the Halo games in several Easter eggs, including an appearance in Halo Reach's tribute room. Bungie's 7-step world domination plan. I'm gonna read the entry on the Bungie fandom page for this one because I could not put it into better words. Bungie, with the aid of the 7th column, which is Bungie's underground army, is currently in the process of taking over the world. However, all plans, diabolical or otherwise, need steps. Bungie's plan, of course, has 7 steps, and progress is coming along nicely. Bungie is currently on Step 7, Take Over the World. Their plan to take over the world is to shoot enemies into sun with giant slingshot. Ling Ling is even included in Step 5, Recover Ling Ling. Step 3 details the release of Halo Combat Evolved. Now we must wait until Bungie overthrows Microsoft, now that Ling Ling is found. ODST girlfriend picture. In the opening cutscene of Halo 3 ODST, when the rookie boards his drop pod and falls into New Mombasa, if you search around the drop pod mid-deployment, you will see an image of either the rookie's wife or girlfriend pasted to the wall. I wonder who this is in Halo lore, or if it's more of an Easter egg of sorts. It'd be interesting to find out the truth behind this. Halo 2 map pack physical copy. This is incredibly obscure, but I actually own this. My family bought it for the original Xbox way back in the day. Back before map downloads became popular, expansions, DLC, and map packs are sold as physical discs. Like this one here, that added several new maps and a few updates. Of course, these maps could be downloaded online through a Microsoft Marketplace, but this option also existed. Da Vinci Code, Halo 3. These secret objects that resemble textureless orbs are present across many maps in Halo 3. They sparked a lot of mystery, as they hold the texture similar to a puzzle device known as a Da Vinci Code. They sparked an underground Halo 3 mystery, where many theorized what these devices were for. Perhaps these were the Guardians, as they were situated around the towers of Sandtrap that overwatched the players who would enter the minefield outside the playing area of the map. This mystery was finally uncovered that they were just textureless invisible objects that were supposed to be hidden from normal play, that hold the scripting for many map elements, such as the minefield or Sandbox's towers. It's interesting because these are actually the Guardians in a way. These textureless orbs that slightly resemble an object from a book called the Da Vinci Code. The Arbiter's broken skybox. The Halo 2 mission, The Arbiter, has a glitched out skybox, as can be seen here.
Zanzibar beach signs. In the fan-favorite Halo 2 map Zanzibar, there is a coastline that features beach signs that warn players not to go swimming. However, these signs change in message depending on the holiday. For example, playing on Christmas changes the warning into a culinary lesson, and Bungie Day shows a drawing of Ling Ling's head.
Siege of Madrigal. This is a song from one of Bungie's previous games, Myth, The Fallen Lords. It's become somewhat of an Easter egg in Halo, where in each of the Bungie Halo games, upon finding and standing in select secret spots in the campaign, the Siege of Madrigal theme will play. It also plays in the official release of the main Halo theme song after the main theme finally fades out. You are hearing it playing in the video right now too. It's pretty cool that this is one of the longest running Easter eggs in that it's a reference and callback to one of their previous works. And I actually remember finding this Easter egg after watching some guides back in the day on the Assault on the Controller mission in Halo CE. Halo Guns and Family Guy episode. Yep, there you go, boom. Initial Gravemind reception. I can't find much on the internet in relation to this topic as it has likely been buried by modern posts, much like the other unknown entries on this list, which go way back into Halo's past. I do recall a lot of talk on how much people disliked the Gravemind when Halo 2 was first released though. When I was a kid, I actually thought the Gravemind was unnecessary and weird at the time. I didn't like the idea of the Flood having a central villain, and thought its appearance was pretty awful. It looked kind of like a puppet, it looked really goofy, and that's probably due to the dated 2004 graphics that definitely did not help with its potato-y appearance. I will say it is a bit jarring for a tentacle monster to all of a sudden appear halfway through a sci-fi military shooter. Interestingly enough though, the Gravemind was actually supposed to be introduced in a mission after Quarantine Zone that has since been cut out, rather than in a cutscene.
Stubbs the Zombie in Rebel Without a Pulse. This is a 2005 released action game where you control a zombie on a mission to destroy humanity. It was developed by Wide Load Games, a studio that was founded by Alex Serapian, a former Bungie co-founder. Serapian was allowed to choose the Halo engine for the framework of the game.
Italy Delta Halo. In the Halo 2 Anniversary Forge canvas, Skyward, if you analyze the geography of the continents of Delta Halo in the skybox, you can see a near-perfect recreation of Italy. This is kind of weird. I don't know why they included this. It's pretty jarring to see just on the Halo ring, just Italy, but, you know, the classic boot-shaped country will, in some cases, appear when you least expect it, I guess. Hello, my name Keyes. This refers to the name tag Captain Keyes wears. The designers actually couldn't fit the word "is" on the name tag image, so this hilarious error is the result. You might also notice the Marathon logo on Captain Keyes' name tag. It's starting to feel like these references are starting to loop in on themselves at this point. Bungie really liked symbolism. MCC Chinese version. There are several changes to Halo MCC to appease Chinese censorship laws. For example, the Gravemind isn't fully in view in its introductory cutscene. Blood and gore are also removed from the game, along with dead bodies. Whenever an enemy dies, they bloodlessly shrink out of existence across all of the Master Chief Collection's games. These changes are bizarre, and it seems like this may be why there is no blood and gore in Halo Infinite multiplayer, or why Halo Infinite as a whole is so tame. I'm disappointed that these modern Halos are so bland and lame, and it's really disheartening to see that we might never see the Flood make a proper return, as they're far too scary and gory to be part of a game that's listed with a teen rating. Halo 2600. This is another entry I included. Halo 2600 is a fan-made 2010 action game built for the Atari 2600, inspired by the Halo series. The developer's name is Ed Fries, and I have purposefully not looked up enough on this topic or even watched footage on it, because I actually plan on someday coming back to it and doing a playthrough for my channel. Stay tuned.
Delta Halo floating button. In Halo 2, on the map Delta Halo, there's a floating button that is outside of the playing area, floating midair. This is a strange mistake, but back in the early days of Halo 2, the finding of this switch led to wild fan theories. This was associated with a conspiracy theory known as the Tri-Gate, which refers to texture glitches on campaign missions that fans thought would open as a triangular gate to secret areas, new features, and strangely, some thought it would reveal a drivable golden warthog. Some fans theorized hitting the switch midair would open the Tri-Gate. The myth was recently debunked, however, where it is known that the switch does, well, nothing when activated. It is perhaps left over from the following mission where it was meant to be a gondola switch. At the time though, this resulted in one of the deepest Halo 2 rabbit holes.
HG, Halo General. I don't know why this is so low on the list. This is just the 4chan page for Halo. I suppose it's low on the list potentially due to how few people probably were present on it, but it could be even lower on the list because it might be where much of early Halo discussion was propagated. I myself didn't even know Halo General existed, but I'm not surprised that someone would tell me there would be a Halo fan page on one of the most popular anonymous forum boards on the internet. The 7th column is a symbol of Bungie's forum fan club of the same name. The symbol has since not just become an emblem in the Halo game's customization pages, but also an emblem that symbolizes Bungie itself. The icon is also called the Septagon. I've seen this emblem for years and never knew that this thing had a name. The more you know, huh? Remember that cup mission that would have introduced the Gravemind in Halo 2 if it existed? This is that mission. Would have had Master Chief fight through the Forerunner depths of Delta Halo before encountering the Gravemind and getting captured. A fast-moving and very powerful Forerunner tank-like vehicle was intended to be piloted by the player during this mission. When asked why they would add a Forerunner tank level into the game, Jason Jones replied, "Awesomeness would ensue." Man, I miss the old design philosophy of Bungie. Halo for PlayStation 2. Before Microsoft slated the game to be an Xbox exclusive, it was likely that Halo CE would be launched across different platforms including PC, Mac, and even PlayStation 2. Halo CE did end up getting launched on PC alongside the Xbox, however. It'd be very interesting to see if there is a physical PlayStation 2 copy. Master Chief's original voice. No, this isn't a reference to the Halo TV series. In the E3 2000 trailer for Halo, the Master Chief had a rather different voice.
Recon reporting. Hostiles have been neutralized.
Say again? Over.
The drop zone is clear. I repeat, the drop zone is clear.
Understood. Lieutenant. Let's get this thing moving.
This is also perhaps one of the first visual representations of Halo's story that we've ever seen. But as you can see, things like wildlife and Master Chief's old voice have since been removed. Rex. Wait a minute, didn't we already do this one? This one actually may be referring to the second Rex Easter egg, specifically the one that appears in Halo 2 next to an energy sword in the mission outskirts. Bonobo. Here's one I decided to include because it's recent, but also refers to an old program developed by Bungie for Halo development. I also believe an explanation should be offered because what caused this issue may have been coincidental and less well known than the issue itself, despite it being pretty embarrassing. For Juneteenth, in celebration of the emancipation of African Americans in the US, 343 Industries released a free emblem for all players to unlock for logging in to Halo Infinite on this historic day in 2022. Unfortunately, the nameplate was named Bonobo in what seems to have been an accident. For those of you who don't know every single species of mammal on Earth, bonobo is a species of African ape. Yeah, this obviously incited a bit of controversy for 343 and caused Bonnie Ross to apologize publicly on Twitter. What's not so well known is the potential cause of this unfortunate coincidence. It was likely not done on purpose, as some fans may have presumed, but was an accident that slipped through quality assurance. 343 inherited Bungie's Halo development tools, one of which, a tag editor, is called Bonobo. It seems that once they produced the Juneteenth nameplate, they forgot to give it a name, which instead caused it to get an automatic default name, where it was named after the program that produced it, in this case, the Bonobo tag editor. What an unfortunate coincidence. Hidden Gargoyle in Halo 2. This is rather insignificant. In the Halo 2 map Backwash, at Blue Base, a gargoyle is hidden. It does not know why this was added here, especially because I don't see gargoyles in any Forerunner architecture, human or Covenant. It's just not something seen throughout the Halo universe. Pretty strange to see this thrown here. I wonder if this is just an asset they had from another game that they threw here as a little joke. There's actually another Easter egg on the map Backwash in Halo 2. If you manage to break outside the map, you can find "It's getting rough out here" written in large red letters along the ground out in the middle of the swamp. Missing leaves in Halo 2 NVIDIA graphics. This is so obscure, you guys. So apparently some players of Halo 2 were having issues where leaves would not render on NVIDIA graphics cards. Here's a post on NVIDIA forums that was posted all the way back in 4 years ago? Why is this so recent yet before the Master Chief collection? Why would someone make a post on this in Someone was playing Halo 2 PC, the Vista edition, in 2018. Bro, that's some dedication. More importantly, how does anyone even know about this enough to put it on an iceberg? This is just so bizarre, it's freaking me out. So yeah, someone apparently noticed a glitch involving modern NVIDIA graphics cards when they rendered leaves from Halo 2 in 2018. Macworld 1999 build. Halo CE released as a Microsoft game in 2001. 2 years prior, it was actually destined for the Macintosh computer. Marcus Lato, someone who worked on Halo CE, released footage of this very early version of Halo in 2021. The first footage seen of the Halo franchise was from this build at the Macworld Expo, where it was introduced by Steve Jobs and presented by Jason Jones of Bungie. Running on a Macintosh computer, the demo played the glorious Halo theme for the first time ever, a song of which was composed in 3 days by Marty O'Donnell.
And so I'm very happy to welcome on the stage Jason Jones, who is the co-founder of Bungie and the Halo project lead. Halo is the name of this game, and we're going to see for the first time Halo. Welcome, Jason. Thank you.
Girlfriend texture. I at first couldn't even find any info about this entry, but after asking around on Reddit, user iSyncTit, goodness me, informed me that it was a texture on the CE map boarding action. It can be found in a hidden room in an early build of Halo CE as shown in this Rocket Sloth video. As it took 19 years for the community to solve this Easter egg, the image of this developer's girlfriend remains as a hidden shrine on this multiplayer map, and an old version of Halo CE. QuackJAG. This is a YouTuber who is a staple of the classic Halo community. QuackJAG produced some of the most popular and some of the earliest Halo uploads from 16 years ago. And I recall my friend showing me the Halo kitty cat dance video way long ago. Which now has 7.4 million views. Wow, I feel old. Much of QuackJAG's content focuses on music and Halo modding. Blue Spartan figure. This is a reference to a rare Halo 3 action figure that is going for quite a bit on Amazon and eBay. This is a very specific mention, and it makes more sense to refer instead to rare Halo collectibles and merchandise as a whole. Design seed. This is a piece of Forerunner technology that held data similar to how blueprints work. Instead, the data coded on these design seeds could be used to construct ships very quickly with automation. The Didax ship was 1 kilometer long. It was built using a design seed in mere minutes. Fusion coil lore. Continuing on with Halo lore entries, these explosive objects that litter the campaigns and multiplayers across the Halo universe have actually quite a bit of lore. Fusion coils, or at least the human fusion coils are generally storage containers that hold super hot plasma and radioactive materials. Hidden Xperia made a video on these classic pieces of scenery. Never thought an explosive barrel would get the Halo cannon treatment, but, you know, here we are.
Halo 2 Limited Collector's Disc. The limited edition copy of Halo 2 provides extra fan content, including an extra features disc. This disc included the behind-the-scenes footage and information behind Halo 2.
It also includes a surround sound audio test that has a weird place just stuck in my memory from when I was perhaps 9 or so.
Welcome to the DVD surround sound test. Speaker on that side. Speaker on that side.
It's perhaps due to the talking grunt and the hunter as they're just chilling, testing out your audio system, and having just a good ol' ruckus. Monkey on a bomb. This is a reference to a decal in Halo 2 found on the map Foundation. This is very interesting. I actually remember seeing this. There are a lot of hidden things in Halo 2 maps between decals and all sorts of different images that hold various layers of personality. Oni's name was taken from one of Bungie's previous games. The Office of Naval Intelligence, or ONI, of Halo lore, shares its name with Bungie's 2001 third-person shooter of the same name. Bob Elites. In Halo Reach, Golden Ranger Elites with concussion rifles can be found spawning randomly throughout the campaign. Killing them would also grant credits in the original Halo Reach, as some challenges focused on players hunting these guys down. They will also disappear if the player wanders too far from them, and they're a sort of Easter egg / bounty hunt in the campaign. It was really cool finding these and hunting them down. Silver Warthog. General Heed made a great video on this Halo secret. In the Halo 3 Xbox 360 menus, scenes full of characters and vehicles can be seen covered in a blue menu filter. In the Forge menu background, a Warthog is present, but if you remove the blue filter, the Warthog is not green but actually silver. It's interesting to think that Bungie didn't even use a green Warthog for this menu item, but instead made their own asset for it entirely. We already have a gold Warthog Easter egg, and I guess now we have a silver one. Kinda wish this was in the game proper. Although, it does kinda remind me of the Halo Infinite Razorback. Halo DS. This is a cancelled version of Halo meant to be playable on the Nintendo DS handheld console. Unfortunately, it never came to be. Became a form of lost media until a video was released with gameplay of a Halo DS demo. Frank O'Connor and Brian Gerard of Bungie responded to the leaked gameplay, stating that the Halo DS game was never in development by any studio, but it was likely just a prototype that an employee attempted to pitch to somebody to possibly influence the creation of a real Halo DS. We really don't have a lot of information on it, but it appears that the Halo DS demo is a mod of GoldenEye Rogue Agent. The mod features the Halo 2 map Zanzibar. It is possible that this may have been produced around the time of Halo 2's release, but it is unknown who made the unsolicited Halo DS demo. And the Halo 5 mission Evacuation, a very obscure Easter egg was hidden. A developer ended up giving hints to the community on details of the Easter egg to assist the community in finding it. Rocket Sloth made a great video on finding and activating this Easter egg. It is listed in the description below. After initiating the egg, players must race to the finish line where the winner is gifted a random power weapon. This is Halo 5 card. Halo 3 Zune. This is a promotional Zune 30 device that is themed around Halo 3. It is preloaded with music, trailers, and artwork from the first Halo games. For those of you who don't know, Zune was an MP3 player similar to the iPod. For those of you who don't know what an iPod is, first off, bro, you're a child, and second off, it's a dedicated MP3 player. Anyway, the Halo 3 Zune came preloaded with a collection of Red vs. Blue episodes as well, along with an exclusive Red vs. Blue PSA minisode that appears to be produced in an early build of Halo 3 prior to the game's release.
In which case, beat it, punk! Mind your own business! He can't hear you. He doesn't have headphones. Oh, right. There, I bet he can hear that. My friend here obviously hasn't fully embraced the concept of the social. Yeah, I'm not really used to all this sharing stuff yet.
Halo 3 ODST is an allegory of Dante's Inferno. Here's another entry I've added, and it's kind of creepy and depressing. This is a theory that suspects Halo 3 ODST to actually be a parallel to the story told in Dante's Inferno. The plot and story of Halo 3 ODST mirror the 9 Rings of Hell in the famous novel. Audio logs that can be found hidden throughout New Mombasa streets exhibit characters who portray some of the 7 deadly sins, such as gluttony and greed. The ODSTs you play as are called Hell Jumpers after all. When you play as the ODSTs, you witness some of the worst effects of the Covenant's invasion on humanity. The audio logs detail the horrors of the civilians as they escape the ensuing hellfire and brimstone of the invasion. As the Covenant glasses the city searching for the Ark, you, the rookie, are left to descend deep into the data hive to discover what secrets hide far below. There are actually some really good videos on this allegory detailing it in its specifics, and I highly recommend you check them out. This is a really interesting allegory. The Ultimate Halo Companion DVD set. The Ultimate Halo Companion set was a DVD set released in 2004. It contained gameplay, cutscenes, and tons of exhibitions from throughout the first 2 Halo games' development cycles. It is a very rare piece of Halo collector's merchandise. Alright, now we're beginning level 6. Entries are going to become extremely obscure and somewhat strange. This is an Easter egg on the Halo 2 map Coagulation. Engraved into a cave wall, very faintly, "Not Sid was here," can be deciphered. I don't know how you guys even find this stuff. It's so subtle. To find this Easter egg, go to where the overshield or active camo spawn, and examine the walls in the room around it. Original Grunt birthday party skull. I actually had no idea this was even a thing until now. The Grunt birthday party skull is a classic in Halo. Upon activating it, any headshot that results in a kill on a Grunt enemy would cause confetti to burst out. The original Grunt birthday party skull's first appearance in Halo 2 actually caused a different effect, and instead resulted in plasma grenade detonations to go off at the point of impact of any critical hit. If you manage to headshot a lead, boom, his face explodes. Killed by the Guardians, greater significance. As stated earlier, anytime a player dies in a mysterious fashion, the game will output the infamous kill feed message. It's easily explained by the programming of the Halo games, though. Surely, just a cheeky message when the game doesn't know who caused your death, right? It's been theorized there's a greater significance to the mysteriously named Guardians in Halo, likely because there is no mention of them in Halo lore. Do keep in mind, these Guardians are more of an invisible force and are not related to Halo 5 in any way. Perhaps they are protecting something sublime, perhaps horrifying, sealed away in the tomb of a classic Halo map. Perhaps they're gods in the Halo universe who oversee every match and deal with any player who strays too far from their eternal games. What is this invisible, omnipotent force, and should we be afraid of it? These questions have never been answered. I can understand why players would be theorizing around this mysterious force, as other Easter eggs such as the Da Vinci Code and all sorts of Halo phenomenon have surrounded this bizarre, and seemingly harmless kill feed message. Halo 4 worm leak was a cover-up. Now this is when conspiracy entries become more prevalent, and everything gets much harder to decipher on the iceberg from here on out. After searching more on Reddit, I've seen players mention that this supposed leak image was actually released around during the Halo 3 days. It was claimed to be a leak of Halo 3 at the time. It's insane that this obscure image had been so popular amongst Halo theorists back in the day. The original image is a render produced by a fan named Richard, who mashed an enemy from a Half-Life mod, Gunman Chronicles, with the Master Chief into an epic desert standoff. Details of this can be seen in a 2021 video released by a Chunkier Bean. We only have the truth of this iconic photo after perhaps 16 years of searching. Or do we? While I can't find anything across the internet mentioning a conspiracy theory involving this worm, what if it was a cover-up? What if it was produced by Bungie instead, or Bungie commissioned its production in secret to spark interest in Halo? Logic defies this explanation, but work with me here, okay? Okay, jokes aside, I don't know how a leaked image could be a cover-up, as cover-ups typically conceal information which leaks expose. It makes no sense to me, it seems kind of ironic, but it'd be a wild world if this was actually part of a grander plan. Perhaps someone in the comments can help me out here, and tell me why this was included, why this entry, of which I could find nothing about, is on this iceberg. Special thanks to Swizz Prime for attempting to help me research this issue, as we both came back fruitless.
Across the remakes of classic Halo games, minute graphical and geometry differences have occurred in remade maps. I've seen mentions of Halo MCC's version of Hang 'em High, as well as other maps having graphical discrepancies as compared to their originals, but unfortunately, this entry is so obscure, I can't find evidence of this exact change.
Asshole music video. This is a video from QuackJAG, the kitty cat Halo YouTuber from earlier. This is another very obscure and classic Halo video from the very early days of YouTube infancy. From the description, it can be found that this is based on another asshole music video that QuackJAG watched on HBO back in 2004. Former side. Okay, so I originally googled and found nothing on this, until I ran into a Finnish article linking Rocket's last video on the boarding action girlfriend texture. It appears that Former side is the user, self-titled as a Halo hacker, who found this texture within the map files and went searching for it. Former side found the girlfriend texture Easter egg, and was a Halo texture modder from way back in 2003. This is perhaps just a repeat of the girlfriend texture, I'm pretty sure. If it isn't, and there's another instance of note involving a woman texture in CE being a pretty obscure Easter egg or glitch, let me know in the comments. Halo 2, The Fallen.
This is possibly a typo referring to the Halo fan film Halo the Fallen,
released in 2015. This fan film has some noticeable quality issues, as is regular for non-profit fan films, but it's kind of a feat that this movie was produced at all. The crew who developed this film was comprised of multiple veterans from the military and special effects industry. The whole movie is available for free on YouTube. Go check it out. There's a lot of passion in it, and the cosplay outfits look really cool, especially the ODST outfits. Disturbing face on backwash. The Halo 2 map backwash is a flood containment facility deep within the green fog of an alien swamp. This map really freaked me out as a kid, and this entry appears to be reinforcing the horror of this map. I scoured the web, and even Xperia mentioned he couldn't find anything on this Halo 2 Easter egg that has appeared in a different Halo iceberg chart that he covered in his own video. The only modern mentions I could find reference either of these two iceberg charts.
I can't find any video, evidence, or early discussion on this bizarre situation anywhere on the web.
They've probably been lost to time. The iceberg I'm reading off of labels this as a conspiracy theory. Perhaps it is a theory. By now, modders should have found any textures or files associated with this myth if it existed. The OP of that original iceberg left a comment stating that this is from an old video that floated on YouTube about a player finding a screaming face on the map. I can't find this video anywhere, but it may perhaps be a screamer video meant to scare viewers. Screamer videos were very popular in the early YouTube days, including several made on Halo. It is likely that this video claimed the faces within the game map, though, with all the shadiness and lack of evidence, I believe the screaming face on backwash is not real. Face and containment in Halo 2. Yet another face entry. This one, definitely real. In the Halo 2 map containment, the smiling face of Chris Carney can be found near Sun Base on the Halo ring. This is the same dude from Standoff. El Phantasma and Halo CE. Yes. More old video games that are haunted. The video title translates from Spanish to Ghost in Halo CE. The iceberg entry is perhaps a little misspelled. In the video, a player joins an empty Halo Custom Edition server solo and encounters a ghost of a player. The title and subtitles of this video are entirely in Spanish. While I'd like to give some credit to the author of this video, the quality is so bad, especially for 2013 standards, that you can't really make much of anything out. You can catch some glimpses of a ghost like Spartan floating around, but it's up in the air if the server was even haunted. It wasn't! Oh, excuse me. My skeptic is showing. Outskirts water walls. In the Halo 2 campaign mission Outskirts, it is possible to reach a glitched out wall that spews water when fired upon. Reused reflection in Metropolis. This refers to this image. This image is reused from the Halo 2 E3 demo for the skybox of Metropolis. It's very interesting to see how they eventually changed the design of the city, as in the E3 demo it looks like a layered pancake style city with tons of skyscrapers stacked on layers. This is either an oddity or an overlooked glitch that a Bungie developer forgot to patch out. Isna Nozali. Isna is an elite character from Halo lore. During the first mission of Halo Combat Evolved, Isna remained cloaked in active camo aboard the Pillar of Autumn's bridge as he spied on Captain Keyes and all of the senior personnel. Keyes ended up spotting and detecting him and killed him with a magnum pistol with one shot, after the elite boarded the lifeboat right next to him. He was mentioned in that book, Halo, The Flood, and it's weird to think that this elite was just secretly wandering around the same rooms you do in Halo CE. This also reminds me of Zuka Zamami, the stealth elite that secretly stalks Master Chief throughout Halo CE until he and his partner Grunt are killed by the Chief on the elevator during the final mission. Near Orbit Vanguard Alliance. Nova is a mobile action game developed by Gameloft in 2009. This slightly obscure mobile FPS game was praised by critics, but did not avoid being labeled as a quote-unquote Halo ripoff. Hey, these are their words, not mine, folks. But really, you can see a lot of the influence of Halo and Halo's popularity onto the game mechanics of Nova. Human X-alien relations in Halo. This is in reference to the potential of romance between alien species and humans in Halo. We do see references of it in canon, such as the Sangheili love letter found in Halo 5, where an elite fawns over Spartan Palmer, and there are instances of humans and aliens befriending each other, but mostly, it seems that this is just a desire shared by some parts of the Halo community. But hey, where there's a will, there's a way. The universe is huge, and it must have at least happened somewhere in the universe, at least once, and honestly, we can only dream. Halo 4 beta cutscenes. The Halo 4 beta cutscenes leaked in 2020, and they're looking just flawless.
AIs deteriorate after 7, Chief.
Halsey.
Chief.
We need to find Halsey.
Chief, please.
She made you. She can fix you.
I won't recover from rampancy, Chief.
Now we are entering level 7 of the iceberg. The entries in this portion are gonna get extremely strange. Hidden Halo 3 rat gore textures. The rats that populate Crow's Nest in Halo 3 have a hidden secret texture. Within their texture file, you can find a graphic representation of a cutaway of the inside of a rat. Why would Bungie spend the time modeling the insides of a rat? Perhaps they were planning to have the rats be dismembered when killed. 7 dead Marines if you backtrack 343 Guilty Spark. This is an incredibly obscure Easter egg in Halo CE. What you're seeing is the only video I could find on the topic. This is not referring to the secret hidden Marine who is very much alive, chilling out by some trees outside the map, but instead a group of several dead Marines who litter the opening stages of the mission. The thing is, these Marines are not present upon first treading this path up towards the mission start. They seemingly spawn in after the player backtracks from a later section of the level, perhaps after they make their discovery of the Flood for the first time. Or at least this video claims this to be the case. The Marines definitely aren't present within normal gameplay, and it's strange that they would even load in. Someone at Bungie took the time to deliberately place them here. Perhaps the Marines from the Flood reveal cutscene that were meant to be infected and killed by the Flood were lazily teleported there and killed, since players are not able to return to the start of the mission with normal means. This is strange, but likely explainable. XXX Pussy Slayer XXX. This is a serious entry, I swear. This is a very early meme called Halo 4 Kid, and the original version of this image uses gamertag nomenclature in the form of the X is embroidered, and then the obvious Alpha Chad gamertag. Why is this so low on the iceberg? It seems to have been a bit popular back in the early 2010s, but not enough to be remembered by many. It's perhaps the rarest Halo meme out there. I haven't even seen this particular case myself, but it is pretty cool to see a gaming meme take place on the Halo 4 box art. Liminal spaces within the Halo games. Liminal spaces are unnerving and nostalgic images that portray locations that hold significant sentimental value, and often portray locations similar to ones we visited as a child in the late 90s and early 2000s. 80s and 70s aesthetics are commonly present in these architectural scenes. The catch with liminal spaces is that they're entirely devoid of life, making a normally joyful image come across as depressing, desolate, and terrifying. I personally love liminal spaces. They show a passage of time and leave a bit of a dreadful, nostalgic taste in my mouth. The Backrooms is perhaps the most popular use of liminal spaces, and older video games, such as Half-Life and Source Engine games, capture the feeling of these liminal spaces flawlessly. If you've ever wandered alone in a Halo multiplayer map or campaign mission from any of the Halo games, totally devoid of enemies or other characters, you will experience the exact same unnerving sensation. Halo 2 and 3 are chock full of liminal spaces, but Halo CE is absolutely littered with them. This is perhaps one of the reasons my favorite game in the series is Halo CE. The low texture resolution, lack of map scenery due to limited graphics budget, the overwhelmingly large play spaces and yawning chasms, the massive Forerunner towers and tunnels, the lack of proper lighting, the dull grays and blues. The first game in the series feels like an old, empty PC game, but through these engine limitations it nails the terror behind the Forerunners, Flood, and the immense power of Halo. Halo is not here to tell you a story about how big and scary a monster is, or how much chaos is going on screen, but instead it tells a story through the eerie silence, the ambient howls of the wind as it whistles through ancient alien architecture. The way that level and art design in Halo mirrors the liminal puts you into a place where you know you're on an alien world much greater than yourself. And in fact, the emptiness of these massive, desolate structures really instill the awe of this once alive and once thriving alien race. It was a place of my childhood, much like an abandoned laser tag arena or an empty bowling alley. But with every entity gone, it feels like those days are long gone, but the world still has a story it's begging to tell you in silence. I'm disappointed modern 343 Halo games forgo the design that made Halo CE so beautiful. That is why it's my favorite game in the series. The true hidden message in Mausoleum Suite. As mentioned earlier, it is theorized that the Flood-aligned AI mendicant bias is the speaker and one of the songs in the Halo 2 soundtrack. In Halo 2 lore, the Forerunner AI was held by the Covenant aboard their holy city, High Charity, for thousands of years. Mendicant bias holds a great deal of guilt for siding with the Flood. Even if they were infected by the Logic Plague, they assisted in the deaths of billions of souls. The lines in the song reflect how the AI feels, where they describe how long they were locked up by the Covenant, stewing in their own guilt and grief. This is some very interesting speculative lore. But what has me most intrigued is, what if there's an even greater meaning to this message? What if the mendicant bias explanation isn't enough? What if Bungie is some philosophy, or perhaps the writer of these songs themselves has a hidden guilt to express? Okay, this is just me speculating at this point. We already have a pretty fascinating explanation and meaning to this song in itself. But who knows? Maybe there's more to it. Halo 4 growling or rumbling. Across gaming, there are audio and video oddities. This entry on the iceberg took some digging. On the subreddit r/creepygaming, a user reported that their copy of Halo 4 was producing a creepy noise that sounded like the flood growl sound effect mixed with some sort of mechanical laughter that played randomly during multiplayer matches. A handful of users reported that they experienced the same thing. It is likely a glitch due to hardware failure. Either the disc is scratched or scuffed, or the game itself has a strange bug within it, but I never experienced it myself. I do remember playing Halo 4 Forge and hearing that obnoxious whistling sound they added in to test the patience of every forger on the planet though. That drove me insane. Super Mario 64 connections. This is the most off-the-wall conspiracy theory out there. This seems like it exists out there somewhere, but I've found no information on a Super Mario 64 connection with Halo in the form of a conspiracy theory. I even searched in Google Books attempting to find a mention in any old gaming magazine. I exhausted every resource I had and found absolutely nothing. The only thing that connects these two games is that they're three-dimensional, and they both released in the late 90s to early 2000s. My own Reddit post on this question is all you will find when searching Halo Super Mario 64 questions, and that post itself, though seen by over 1,000 users, went completely unanswered. No one that I know of has any clue of what this entry is referring to. Super Mario 64 is famous for rumors, conspiracies, and its own iceberg chart, so it would seem obvious that it would creep into this iceberg, but at this moment, the theory is lost to time. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Unused gore textures and models. Throughout the Halo series, much like the rat gore textures, enemies and players have their inside body parts textured. A few examples include the grunt gibbing detailing that hint at the possibility of delimbing and decapitating grunts, and several portions of the elite body innards have been found secretly textured in Halo Reach. Perhaps Bungie wanted Halo to be far more graphic and gory than it actually is. Rick and Morty reference in Halo 5. On the Halo 5 map Riptide, you can find a Meeseeks box neatly tucked away behind some cacti. Society of the Ancients. This is a human organization that is potentially in Halo lore, started in 1995 to 2008, and possibly onwards. It theorizes and believes in alien visitors who traveled to Earth in ancient times and bestowed wisdom and technology upon humanity. The organization has a website, which even has an image of a Forerunner symbol which was seemingly etched into a rock by an ancient human in 100,000 BCE. The Society of the Ancients was created by Dave George, and unfortunately, the site has since been shut down. The character themselves who etched the symbol way back in the past is detailed in Halo 3, The Cradle of Life, which is only the first part of a lesser well-known alternate reality game known as Iris, which was meant to market Halo 3 across forums and blog posts. This is very similar to Halo 2's I Love Bees, but far less well known. The real Sergeant Johnson died in Halo 1. The one from 2, 3, and ODST was just a twin brother. This Halo theory postulates that Sergeant Johnson did not survive the destruction of Halo, or did not survive the Flood infection, but instead, the future Johnson we see in Halo 2, 3, and ODST is his twin brother, Sergeant Avery Johnson. This is honestly, insane, and, perhaps, I guess it kind of makes sense because in Halo 1 you can kill Johnson over and over, and it seems like another disposable copy of Sergeant Johnson will just appear whenever Marines land. I feel like Sergeant Johnson is just an infinitely large family, and every time one of him dies, another twin brother just says, tag me in, and just jumps into the ring. Even after, if you killed every single Sergeant Johnson, you'll still see him in Halo 3, or in the 343 Guilty Spark cutscene. He's just he's immortal. I have a better theory. Sergeant Johnson has infinite lives. So when he died in Halo 3, being as he could die unlimitedly in Halo 1, he was probably reborn somewhere on Earth in Halo 3. Food for thought. Chiron TL34. Wait, Hang on. And if Johnson has infinite lives and is technically immortal, I'd love to see him face off against Master Chief in an epic battle. Who do you think would win? Chiron TL-34 is a cloning facility. The teleporter maze and liminal space known as Chiron TL-34 is a multiplayer map from the first Halo game. Set on the planet Mars, the map description reads simply as Spartan Clone Training Complex. This early tidbit of lore seems to have been cut, as Spartan clones are not meant to be future soldiers, but instead died to cover up the abduction of a family's child. Perhaps this was an oversight, as, well, they haven't redacted this part of the lore. It might have just been a bit of a mistake. Or maybe there is a dark secret behind the facility involving illegal and unethical cloning. It is just kind of like a map flavor text, and I think people are reading into it too much, but it is technically canon. So it's really weird to see that there's a part of Halo 1 canon that was overwritten in the future. What's buried underneath Sandtrap? I mentioned in an earlier entry that the Halo 3 Sandtrap tomb is hiding something potentially sinister. There is a theory and a question that something is hidden beneath Sandtrap. Even more, some believe there may be a long unsolved Easter egg or mystery behind this legend. The map is my favorite from the game, and it has the most secrets and Easter eggs out of potentially any Halo 3 map. The Da Vinci Code, the Guardians in the form of a minefield, the looming towers in the distance, which fans have established are the Guardians, since they are also the Da Vinci Code objects floating near the towers, you get the point, and even hidden glyphs and symbols that are present outside of the map. The most interesting theory surrounding the map is that there is potentially something alive buried beneath it. Sandbox mirrors Sandtrap but has a massive basement crypt underneath it. This has led many to suspect there is a basement underneath Sandtrap as well. If that's not the case, or there isn't something of interest hidden under the sands, why is the UNSC on the surface with elephants and all sorts of equipment for what seems like heavy-duty work such as excavation? This theory isn't that far-fetched, considering that Halo maps are chock full of lore. But who or what is buried underneath Sandtrap? Well, what do you guys think? Sandworm. The Sandworm is an Easter egg in the Halo 5 map, The Rig. To activate it, you must ground pound a platform and destroy a few exposed fusion coils. After activating it, the giant Sandworm will eat a drilling platform in the distance and destroy it. ODST Glyphs. Around the New Mombasa streets in Halo 3 ODST, there are several glyphs plastered across the walls. For the longest time, the community was under the suspicion that these glyphs held a deeper meaning or concealed some sort of code, and the community attempted to decipher them for some secret message or hidden meaning, but to no avail. It is likely just set dressing to show that engineers are searching for Virgil. In Rocket Sloth's own video, Marty O'Donnell, one of the lead designers on the old Bungie Halo games, even commented himself that Rocket Sloth might just be right, that there's nothing behind these glyphs. Prophet of Disdain. This is a prophet only known due to a Halo 2 match held at E3. The red team played as Spartans, with profiles named after human marines such as Johnson, Stacker, and Basinti, while the blue team played as elites with prophet names such as Mercy, Truth, Regret, and weirdly, Pity and Disdain. These two extra names may hint at two prophets that are present within the universe but have no lore or data surrounding them, or they were just random name selections by the demo presenters to match the theme of a Covenant naming scheme. Could these characters be out there in the lore somewhere? Who knows? Now we've reached level 8, the final level. Lost Google Video Fan Content. This entry refers to all of the lost Halo Video fan content that was hosted on Google Video. Google Video is a video hosting site that stopped accepting uploads in 2009 and was finally taken down in 2012 due to Google's shift in focus to YouTube. Users were given this notice. Later this summer, all remaining hosted video on Google Video will be moved to YouTube. Google Video stopped taking uploads in May 2009, and now are moving the remaining hosted content to YouTube as private videos. Google Video users can rest assured that you won't be losing any of your content, as it will be fully available on YouTube. And you can choose to make those videos public on YouTube if you'd like. There is no telling how many videos of fan content went on forgotten by their uploaders to migrate onto YouTube only to be stuck as private videos for eternity. Perhaps the disturbing backwash face, or theories about the Super Mario 64 and Halo conspiracies are lost to time due to this move. We may never know the hours upon hours of lost Halo media from the early Bungie days. RNG seeds are an entry that perplexed me for quite a while. I ended up doing some digging, couldn't find much of anything, until I realized what this was actually in reference to. RNG seeds on the iceberg are listed as a gameplay mechanic. I have a question for you. What is truly random? How do we get a computer to roll a die, or perhaps pick a random number off the top of its head? This is impossible, actually, especially because random does not actually exist in nature. Anything that occurs in nature happens for a reason. A computer takes input and gives output. It can't come up with things on its own using its own brain. Something happens by chance because something else influenced actions or behavior, and this is true in not just computing, but in nature as well. Programming languages are built in with features to enable the generation of random numbers, but upon each iteration, the same exact sequence of supposed pseudo-random numbers are given, so this is not so random after all, as each time you ask for a random number, you will receive the same sequence. There is a workaround to this issue, however, that makes RNG possible. An RNG seed is a starting point for a sequence of pseudo-random numbers. Every time you use the same seed, as it's called, you get the exact same sequence of numbers over and over and over. Changing the seed changes the sequence of numbers, which effectively makes a random number generator possible. Don't worry, it confuses me too, and I've programmed RNG seeds in C and C++ and still don't get it totally. Now, you may ask why this is here on the Halo iceberg. Perhaps it is to show that in all things random events and Halo gameplay are all made possible by RNG seeds, and that random doesn't actually exist. But in Halo, much like the world, random things occur because they were supposed to happen, thanks to every localized force or interaction at B. Even in some cases, RNG seeds are decided by clocks or the current time. Nothing truly is random. Halo PlayStation 2 physical build, unconfirmed existence. Earlier in the iceberg I mentioned a PlayStation 2 port for Halo Combat Evolved. This entry details a possible physical build that could be playable. This really sketch and glitchy IGN video, which fittingly glitches out and lacks audio completely, does report to contain footage of a 99 build of Halo CE playing on PlayStation 2. This build, or another PlayStation 2 build, could be out there, lost to time or history. Forerunner tank is still in Halo 2. This is a conspiracy theory that the Forerunner tank from the cut Forerunner tank level in Halo 2, where the Gravemind was originally supposed to be introduced to Master Chief, is still within the game's files. This is likely false, being as modders have scoured the entire file base of Halo 2 during the development of their own mods and would have likely found this vehicle by now, drivable or not. Years ago, though, this may not have been so cut and dry, as people likely speculated that some form of this cut vehicle could have been in the game files somewhere, but now, it's most certainly untrue with the amount of time modders have spent within Halo 2's files. Or is it? Maybe they didn't look hard enough. I'd love to drive this cut vehicle for sure, but again, this conspiracy was only likely popular in the past due to a lack of knowledge. In 2012, a small channel named Disjin posted a couple of obscure videos. This same user, Disjin, also posted to the r/creepygaming subreddit, claiming that they were playing Halo Combat Evolved when they ran into these strange anomalies. In 2013, a couple of sequel videos were produced. Since then, nothing. These videos are an obscure, short series of analog horror videos that tell the story of a ghost named Juliet attempting to play hide and seek with a player on an empty server in Halo Custom Edition before pranking, killing, and scaring them. It's strange that these videos would even be produced in 2012, as Halo PC ports were over 10 years old, and Halo CE wasn't a very popular game at the time. Perhaps that's what lends to the appeal of the horror. Old games of our childhood do have a lot of creepypastas written about them, such as Been Drowned, written around Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. There's something eerie and scary about ghosts, hauntings, and horrifying experiences within games of our childhood that we only uncover as an adult. It's very similar to the idea of the liminal spaces, things we used to enjoy and relish as safety when we were kids, now being corrupted into something sinister now that we're older. Lost Master Chief Screamer video. In 2020, a post by u/Kamikaze Pelican, first of all, that's a great name, asked a question of the r/Halo subreddit. Around the time of Halo 3, the user was searching for a seemingly lost Screamer video that tricks users into thinking that it would show the Master Chief's face, only to terrify them with a screaming jump scare. As the user was just a kid at the time, it caused him to not touch YouTube for months. A reply in the comments stated that they too, and their friends, remember such a video existing, but no one within the post in the comments could find it. It is likely that this video existed. In fact, it's very likely, because Screamer prank videos were very popular at the time, and so was... In fact, this does remind me of the disturbing face on Backwash after all, but this and the disturbing Backwash incident remain a mystery to this day. Second water wall on Outskirts. On the Halo 2 campaign mission Outskirts, according to a very obscure YouTube video with less than 1,000 views, there is a second water wall on the campaign mission that you can get to by going outside the map. Shooting this wall as well causes water to spray. This is perhaps the most obscure glitch or oddity within a Halo game, as this is the only video I could find and it has so few views. The presence of this water wall is likely known by less than 1,000 people at this rate. Backwash is the disturbing face. The disturbing face that supposedly haunts Backwash is the purpose behind this map. Either this entire map is the spirit behind the screaming face, or Backwash is its domain, tomb, or mausoleum. This theory doesn't exist anywhere. It is still entirely possible one of the creators of the ICEBERGs invented this entire myth of the screaming face video. What I've come up with might not be what the ICEBERG author meant by this entry, but by proposing that the map itself is the face, one can only assume that the entire map is owned by this supposed entity, or maybe it's its home. Who knows? Coagulation Clown. This is a bizarre Easter egg that I actually found as a kid because I played on coagulation with my family far too often. On one of the rocks is imprinted a strange texture. The cracks in the rock appear eerily similar to some sort of freakishly distorted smiling clown with his eyes shut. Basically, it looks like your mother. It's unknown if the coagulation clown was planned, but the texture has led to a very interesting appearance on the rock, whether this clown was intentional or if it was just an illusion due to the way the texture has been mapped onto this rock. POW promo. This is theorized to be the very first Halo video to ever appear on YouTube. Remember, Red vs. Blue started out hosted on Rooster Teeth's website before it migrated to YouTube, so the parody of War promo video could have beat Red vs. Blue in every other Halo video to YouTube. This upload is from August 5th, 2005. The site was launched in February of that year. Behold, the POW promo. Truly, a masterpiece ahead of its time. But I wonder if there's an earlier video that slipped through the cracks. It is likely lost in undiscovered fan games. This entry refers to the possibility of lost and never-before-seen fan games that slip by the community's radar. With a franchise as popular as Halo, and one with so many fan-produced Flash games, it is possible there are some lost to this day, especially after Adobe Flash was shut down. Actual ghosts in Halo. We've already gone over some potential hauntings and suspected real ghosts within the Halo games. This entry refers to the possibility that these bizarre events in Halo Legend, such as the Ghost of Lockout, the Ghost of Forge World, Blackout, Turf, Backwash, and many others are actually due to a paranormal, unexplained phenomenon, rather than the inner workings of the games glitching out or faltering. This entry proposes that the Ghost of Lockout was a real case of paranormal activity, not a video game glitch or a stage performance. I am personally a bit of a skeptic, but I experienced something myself that is partially unexplainable. When I was 12 or 13, I was on a blank canvas of Forge World with one of my friends. It was another routine day of map building, when all of a sudden my friend was killed while he was in Forge mode. After respawning, he claims it was some sort of Gauss cannon-like projectile that killed him from across the map, as if some invisible force killed him. I recall him confused on the other end, but a lot of my memory from this event is hazy. I don't remember watching him get ghost clapped or vaporized or anything. It's all hazy, and he was in my lobby, so I feel like I should have seen it happen. He accused the Ghost of Forge World for killing him. Was this story true? Perhaps not. He may have just been pulling my leg, but it had me a bit creeped out for a few hours on that map. I certainly felt like I was being watched in that lonely and isolated Xbox Live party. That's how prevalent haunted video games were on the web. Haunted video games in general are a facet of popular culture. Sure, my friend could have been telling the truth, but it could have been a glitch that killed him, not a ghost. Unexplainable thing in a video game? It's a ghost. Or Herobrine, or the Ghost of Lockout. The precursors know they're in a video game. The precursors are an overwhelmingly advanced species, as I've detailed in previous entries. They could jump from galaxy to galaxy, form anything into physical space they can imagine, and seed life into galaxies. They could even change their own physical form at will. These guys are pretty much on God mode, as they are the smartest and most powerful beings in the known universe who seeded the Milky Way with life. They are so powerful and all-knowing that what if they were aware that they're inside of a video game? This is a theory that I have not seen posited anywhere outside this single iceberg, but it's quite a mind-boggling one for sure. Perhaps the most meta and twisted thing in Halo lore if it were to actually exist. Bungie's love for the number 7 greater significance. The number 7 is Bungie's favorite number and appears everywhere throughout all of their Halo games. 7 is a number that also coincidentally holds great religious significance. In Christian scripture, the number 7 resembles perfection or completion. It also refers to the seventh day, or the one God rested on upon completion of the earth as detailed in the book of Genesis. The Bible also uses the number 7 as a significant religious symbol frequently, and thus has several different meanings, such as fulfillment of promises, exoneration, and healing. There are also 7 chakras, 7 wonders of the world, 7 colors of the rainbow, 7 primary notes on the Western musical scale A through G. The list goes on. Why does Bungie obsess over this number so much? Why is their community known as the 7th column? Bungie Day is the 7th day on the 7th month. Why do they have 7 steps for world domination? Why are there 7 Vidmaster achievements to unlock Recon? How could a company be so obsessed as a unified whole over a single number? Nowhere else in history can you find a company vehemently use a single digit everywhere throughout their games, movies, or products, to the point where there are pages upon pages of instances where 7 was shoehorned into the Halo games. The company has loved 7 since the start in 1991, since their very inception, so perhaps they all agreed on picking 7 as a significant number and have forced it into every game since. Or Bungie leadership demands 7 to appear an excessive number of times. Perhaps one higher up is very religious at Bungie, or superstitious, and believes that in order to make a solid product, the number of perfection must be utilized. Either that, or maybe it's just an inside joke, or they really just believe in using the number to design game mechanics and plot elements. Either way, this theory does hold weight. It all seems so obsessive, to the point where maybe Bungie's love for 7 does have a greater significance. Halo is real. I added this entry. It's so far down the iceberg because it is likely only I who have come up with this bizarre and kind of stunning thought experiment. Call it a theory, but if the universe is infinite, or there are infinite parallel dimensions, doesn't that make the story of Halo a reality somewhere in an alternate universe or dimension? Or perhaps it is occurring somewhere else in our currently expanding infinite universe. If the theory rings true, we may just yet to have found the Covenant, the Flood, the Forerunners, any of it. But being as this universe is infinite, that does have infinite possibility. So not just anything in Halo could occur, but anything in fiction could occur on an alternate Earth, or an alternate universe, or somewhere out in the cosmos. Think about that for a minute. Let that sink in. Halo is not real. Halo is not real. The game never existed and is a figment of your imagination. This video is not real. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up.
Thank you guys for watching the video. This was quite an undertaking to produce. If you enjoyed this video, drop it a like and subscribe if you haven't yet. It would mean a lot to me and do the channel a huge favor. Feel free to become a channel member as well if you wish to get bonus content and get to see these videos early. And it would help support the channel greatly. Thanks again for watching. Hope you'll have a good one. See ya.